Hello everybody and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast episode number 87. Hello a croeso I podcast rhif 87. My name is Mr. Gareth Evans and joining me today is Mr. Henry PC MR for Life Cooper.
That's it, I'm one of you. Join us.
One of us. Yeah, Henry is a fully certified PC Master Race member now, and that is one of the topics we'll be talking about today, which is Henry's transitioning from console scrub to PC Master Race, obviously.
The only transition anyone needs to care about.
What else were you thinking? But first we've got some Assassin's Creed Valhalla got Ubishafted news, which we're going to jump into straight away. You can probably guess what it's going to be. Probably you've seen it on the title of this video, if you're watching on YouTube, that is. We also have a quiz, as normal, from Metal Shark this week. We have some questions from our patrons. We've got a Triggered Fanboy comment of the week, or maybe a dumb ass dipshit of the week. Depends how we feel. We've got a couple of kind of half-baked ones. And then lastly, bad dad joke of the week to finish off. So, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been Ubishafted. And what I mean by that is that Ubisoft have done a Ubisoft, and they have now began selling XP boosts in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Henry, why are you shaking your head?
Right, so before we started doing this podcast, I'd thrown a few bits up about my PC experience and all that. And Gaz was like, okay, cool, I found this story about Assassin's Creed. I hadn't seen it yet, so my response was just, ha 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 ha, because it's so fucking hilarious. On balance, yeah. I quite like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I reviewed it recently. Go watch that. Pretty much all of my complaints come down to it's too fucking long and repetitive and just full of shit.
Oh, I wonder why that is, Henry. Is it because
now that this comes out? Yeah, now that this is it.
It's funny isn't it? It's funny how the game is repetitive and boring after a while.
Because weird. If that wasn't the problem, the game would have been great because any of the bugs that were there, because there's plenty, or almost as many as Cyberpunk, but I think Cyberpunk still takes the crown for that one. Yeah. It's really, really buggy, but because it goes on for so long, your tolerance just wears right down. Like, I mean, I'm quite tolerant of bugs, and by then I'm just like, oh, fucking come on, I can't be arsed. But yeah, now that this is added post-launch,
there's a lot to be said about that. Yeah, it's just a devious tactic. We'll get into that. So the details.
Well, I've not even read it yet, but I guarantee they're going to say something like, "Oh, it's to make it easier for the newcomers at Christmas" or some bullshit like fucking EA said in the past.
Yeah, well, you're not far wrong. So the game launched without these purchasable XP boosts. And it launched on November the 10th, so it's just over a month. It's like let's say 5.5 weeks since it launched. So you can buy for the purchase of 1,000 Helix credits, at the price of 1,000 Helix credits, which is around $10. You can add a 50% boost to the experience a player can gain across all of their save files. Wow, value for money, man! I can play the game 50% faster for £10 extra. Oh, $10. Oh, that is great value. Great value. Thank you, Ubisoft. That's such a great option. Such a great choice to give players. The other option is 1,500 Helix, which is $15. You can also, as well as the 50% XP to experience, you can get 50% extra money as well. So you can get extra money. It's literally a hack. Literally hacking to get extra 50% money. Imagine what you can spend, all those armor sets and stuff.
And money is barely useful in the game because you don't really need to go to vendors or anything. All of your armor and equipment is found in treasure chests. Like you can buy like a couple of things, but pretty much all of it you find in the world. What you need is they call it like supplies and resources. Basically the same word for different things, but that's for like upgrading your settlement. It would make more sense to cheat and speed that shit up, because that's actually more important. So they've added this XP booster, which is total bullshit. Then they've tacked on this money thing, which is meaningless, to add pretend value to it.
Well, I don't know. I think they're doing a great thing here for all those gamers who bought their game and just got bored with all the grind and the tedium of playing it, and they thought, I know, we'll offer these people a way out of that by selling them the solution to the problem that we gave them in the first place. That's just so kind of them. Ubisoft, you should be commended. I mean, how you manage to swindle people, and people still believe that they're doing a good thing by offering these.
Because they did it at launch with what was it, Odyssey, and I really didn't like Odyssey because it was really fucking boring, like all the way through. Whereas Valhalla, I enjoyed parts of it much more. So in Odyssey, they had it from day one, and then they got loads of shit for it, quite rightly so. We were doing it as well. So now they've just tried to be like, oh no, we'll get the good reviews in, we'll do the Activision, we'll do the EA, and we'll add it in after the fact.
This is the new tactic.
And have our cake and eat in it.
It's the new tactic, isn't it?
Make your bed now, sleep in it, and have your cake and eat it. Have your cake and
make
eat in
your cake
it.
and eat it.
Eat in your cake.
I mean, whatever expression it is, it's still greedy corporations making the most of exploiting this review situation where they're avoiding the day one reviews uproar, I guess.
And it's not a game that did badly. It's one of the highest selling games of the year. It had an incredible launch. And especially for the franchise, record-breaking for the franchise.
How much worse would it have been, though, had there been a little bit of controversy around microtransactions? Like, they've avoided that. They've rode the wave of popularity, and now they're slipping this in the back door when everyone's talking about Cyberpunk. It's a bit convenient, isn't it? The whole week of news, it's all been Cyberpunk this week, and then out of nowhere, it's a good day for bad news. That's kind of
what's his name? Yves Guillemot. It's just like, yes, focus on Cyberpunk. They're the evil corporation, not us.
Right,
as they're busy abusing their employees.
Exactly. Talking about Gollumizing the leadership at Ubisoft. This is a quote provided to Game Informer from Ubisoft. They said, quote, as more and more post-launch content becomes available, we want to give the option to players to advance their progression. Just an option. They didn't say that, I said that. Utilities allow players who lack the time to fully explore the world of Assassin's Creed Valhalla to be able to acquire the game's best gear, as well as other items, by accelerating their progress. For instance, these players can purchase maps that uncover some interesting locations in the world, but would still have to visit and play them in order to get their rewards. There's no justification here. It's all just like positive PR speak, trying to spin this into a positive thing. Completely sidestepping all the criticism, which are the fact, we've highlighted them already, the fact that they're creating a problem, selling this solution, making the game grind in the first place, they're selling this, they're avoiding the reviews day one, and putting these shady things that they know is controversial into the game post-launch. But it's just the goal of it. It's just like it's just a PR line. It's just like, right, have we prepared this? It's to say you could copy and paste this from any one of the publishers, Activision, whatever, and they're all the same. It's carbon copies of the rest, and it's just a positive line. It's all it is. It's PR bullshit. Give the option for players to advance their progression. How about we opt not to buy your game, or even better, just give us the option to do that if you really cared about giving us the option to advance progression. Give us a cheat code. Simple. Don't have to sell it.
Switch in the settings.
You don't have to sell it. Either game, just a simple cheat code or whatever, just like they used to do. But I'm exhausted by this whole thing. It happens every time and time again, but people still justify it, right?
And then where it says about the maps as well, I think the maps were already there or in some capacity to like unlock collectibles, like show where they are on the map, that kind of thing at the very least. But that is actually one of the best parts of this game. It's one of the ways Ubisoft kept it Ubisofty, but masked it a little bit, because the map is still full of stuff. It's full of like settlements to raid and treasures to find, but it didn't tell you what was what. It grades it. I think there's gold for treasure, blue for like activities, that's interesting things, and then white I think is for collectibles and stuff. So going to these blinks, you'll be like, oh, there's something over there. It's either gold, white, or blue. I'll go find out. And that had a real good sense of adventure about it, because then you'll be like, oh, what am I going to find? Oh, a nice piece of armor. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I'll use that. That's rewarding. Unlike what I did really, one of the things I really didn't like about Odyssey was the constant flow of loot and just, here's stuff. You know, like kind of ADD, ADHD, giving you information and just shit all the time. That took a step back. But now they're breaking one of, well, at least in my opinion, one of the best things about this game in comparison to recent ones. It's like, yeah, we're just going to take away the fun. We're going to make it shorter, because our game's not good enough for you to spend your time in. So we're going to make it better for you by not taking up so much of your time because our game is so boring. Yeah. That's all I'm hearing. And we're going to ruin one of the best aspects of it, which is a sense of adventure. It's fucking dumb, and people are going to buy into it.
There are a lot of bad justifications, and I've seen them on Twitter like straight away. It's like, oh, it's only optional. It's a time, the saving time. If you don't like it, don't buy it. It's only a single player game. It's not like it's multiplayer. And it's like, I mean,
if you don't like it, don't buy it. It doesn't work.
How did those arguments hold water? Having just pointed, with all the other counter arguments that we've already put in place, they don't hold any water at all.
If you don't like it, don't buy it. Doesn't work because the game is built around it. It's built to be longer than necessary, which means if you don't buy it, you get a fundamentally worse experience. Of course, you can not buy it, then you don't have a problem.
It's too late now if you've already bought it.
Yeah, if you've bought the game, then that's it. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
In the grindy game, with the only option is the only solution is to buy or grind.
Exactly, and it's an easy game as well. Like, it's not like the grind is super hard. It's not like you need to really work to fight the bad guys. Like, I think towards the end you finish the main story, then there's a few other sort of end-gamey activities, and one of them's to go to like the last area, which is a really high level, and I was like, fuck that, I'm not going there. It's like 100 levels above me. I'm never going to make it. Fortunately, though, I watched, whose was it? I think it was SkillUp's review, and he was like, yeah, after I completed it, I just went to the area to see what it was like, and I just walked through it and killed everyone. So I was like, oh, thank God, I did that. Piece of piss, no problem. You don't need to grind anything because it's so easy, but the game is just so long, it takes ages to get through everything. Yeah. And that's exactly what they're doing here. They're solving the problem they created.
Yeah, we pretty much hit all the points that I've got here. The only other... The thing I always like to compare it to is the fast track ticket in their theme park. So you buy in to the Disney theme park, and you want to buy a fast track ticket. Instead of waiting for 2 hours, you can wait for like half an hour. It only costs you an extra $100, and it's like it's the same thing, because what you're doing by buying the fast track ticket is you're enabling this whole economy of speeding your queue up and making the experience shitter for everyone else, because everyone else has got to wait longer because you've fast tracked and got in before everybody else. So their queue, the regular, just paying the regular price, people have just got to wait longer because you've bought the fast track ticket. And I don't know, it's the whole idea of capitalizing on this. You buy a ticket, you should be able to get the best experience. You don't have to like upsell you the whole way. And this is all this is. This is just being upsold something, and it's bullshit. And we've always stood up for anti-consumer practices on this channel. That's what we've been doing since the very beginning. What's what we've been doing all last week too, in regards to not just this game, but a game from a developer which we previously loved, which was Cyberpunk, right? So a lot of people complaining that we're being too negative and this and that on Cyberpunk. We've always done that. This is what we do. But the main takeaway for me is buyer beware. These days, these big corporations, they will always shaft you. They'll always find a reason to take more money or make your experience a little bit worse so they can sell you a solution or whatever. You can point at any of the big publishers these days, and they've all done it, and they all will continue to do it, which is why I'm very soured, very dubious about buying these big AAA games, because this is what they do.
And the thing is, there's some good stuff in Valhalla. I said before, it's probably the best Assassin's Creed I've played in years. But don't let that entirely dupe you because of this shit. Like, if you like it, cool, but just be aware that they're trying to fuck you over. They've made it longer so that they could take your money. If you're happy with how long it is, then be like, yeah, I'm going to fucking spend all my 80 hours in this world and it's awesome, I love it. That's the dream. Good for you, pal. I'm not shaming you. But if you just want a quick chill out, play some Vikings and kill people, you're probably going to spend way too long doing it. And please don't buy this shit. Don't let the game manipulate you into paying for stuff that you don't need.
Yeah, it's one of those where you can never get. There's nothing wholly good these days. You always got to take the rough with the smooth. It's never just all good. It's never like that. There's always a price to pay for a good game these days, over and above what you outright purchase the game for. I don't know. I'm pretty negative. I'll be honest. I'm pretty cynical when it comes to big companies trying to shaft you. But that's just the way I always have been. But let's move on quickly because we've probably got going to get into a box of can of worms with Cyberpunk in a bit too.
That's
default.
not even the focus of what's coming up, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. But anyway, Henry is transitioning from you call it migrating. I like to use transitioning from console to PC.
Well, I use migrating because the console's not being completely chopped off and reformed.
Yeah,
it's still going to be there. Like every now and then, I'm like, you know what? Let's play a bit of God of War. Let's play a bit of I don't know, Days Gone or something. Uncharted. But the PC's probably going to be my primary machine, at least for a while.
Oh, is it?
Like,
yeah.
What?
I mean, I'm just asking. Like, it is. You've decided that.
Probably. Yeah. Like, obviously, apart from any sort of Sony exclusive game now is most likely going to come out for the PS5. Maybe will work on the PS4, but it's probably going to run a pretty dog shit.
Yeah.
And I don't own a PS5 yet. But I've kind of touched on before, when God of War's release date comes out, or maybe when Horizons comes out, then I will start considering it.
Yeah.
Getting a next-gen console. Maybe even like a God of War skinned one or something, because I've never had one of those before.
Would your decision... Sorry to throw in this question here, but will your decision to buy a PS5 be harder now that you've got a high-end PC gaming rig?
Yeah, because the value for money proposition is much lower. Because before it would be everything on this one console. Well, not everything, but most of the games that I would be interested in would be on this one machine. Whereas now it'll be like 500 quid for much fewer games, far fewer games. Like
Makes
500
sense.
quid for like God of War, Horizon. What are their new IPs? I can't remember. They've got like the one with the like astronaut person who looks quite cool. There's one with a robot. These are from ages ago. I can't really remember. And then any of the existing ones, like a Days Gone sequel or the new Uncharted, which may or may not be in development by this secret Sony studio that keeps popping up every now and then in the news that no one really knows anything about. Or The Last of Us 3, when Abby can finally be the main character and piss everyone in the world off. I'm really excited to see The Last of Us 3, man. I have no idea what's going to happen. It's going to be a shit show no matter what.
It's not confirmed, is it?
No, not confirmed, but it will happen eventually. It's going to happen eventually. Because, I mean, that game made so much money for Sony. They're going to be like, I don't give a fuck about your story or what any of the community thinks. This game makes money.
Yeah,
This is what we're going to do. Anyway, PC is probably going to be my core base now.
Yeah.
Apart from exclusives and whatnot, but that's a future problem. That's Henry's problem further down the line. But yeah, so I have always been a console gamer, and it's not so much through choice so much as it just kind of circumstance and happening. So my first console when I was a kid was a second-hand PlayStation 1, maybe even third-hand. Like it got passed around. Well, I think my brothers got it second-hand, and then I got theirs when they moved on to PS2, so I was always kind of like a generation behind. Then I got a GameCube, which I still maintain is one of my favourite consoles ever, just because I spent so much time on a very finite amount of games. It was like Mario Kart Double Dash, which is still the best Mario Kart game, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, and then a few others. I just cycled through them all the time. And as well, it was not like a console, but we had a couple of Game Boys floating around, so I used to play Super Mario Land religiously. But yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Got a Wii because the Wii was cool for like 5 minutes, and then they just stopped making any decent games for it. It's like, yeah, well, you're gonna have Legend of Zelda and Metroid Prime 3. It's like, oh, awesome. Got anything else in there for this 6-year console cycle?
Wii Sports. We got Wii Sports. You can play tennis.
Well, the thing is, the Wii, my Wii console has outlasted all of them because it still gets played. Well, maybe not this year, but it still gets played every year at Christmas. Where tradition. It's going to be a bit different this time, but traditional Christmas in my house is normally like me, my mum, my stepdad, then my 3 siblings, and then my mum's sister, so my aunt, and all of her kids. But we're not kids. Like I'm the youngest. They're all late 20s and 30s and stuff. And we all end up playing. We bowling, and we're all terrible at it.
It stands up like the Wii Sports.
It's a good party game. It's a good party game.
Stands up.
I'm always like, fuck the bowling. Do the tennis or the boxing.
The boxing, yeah.
Yeah, but they're like, no, we want to do the bowling. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I'm bad at real bowling. I'm bad at virtual bowling, and I have no interest to get better at either. Like, it doesn't benefit my life in any way.
True.
I'm just there for the party food and like sausage rolls and nibbles and stuff. Anyway, so after the Wii, Xbox 360, I think most people, or at least of my generation and stuff, had the Xbox. It wasn't even a toss-up between Xbox or PS3. I was like, all of my mates have Xbox 360. I can play with them. It's Xbox 360. Like that's it. The only thing that bothered me, and still bothers me, is Metal Gear Solid 4, because that's exclusive to the PS3, and that's it. Like, they didn't port it up to PS4. You can emulate it now, I think, on PC, which I am considering doing, but it is questionably legal. And I think morally I would want to support the game itself in some sort of way, but that's, a future problem. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Xbox 360, that was my main like multiplayer machine, because me and my mates used to play Halo 3 all the time, and like the occasional Call of Duty, but that was like Call of Duty 4 and what's one of the World War II ones, but World at War, I think it was. First one was zombies, I think that was. Anyway, well, that one, whichever one it is, someone will probably know. And then after that, PS4, which is what I currently was on until the new beast, whose name still is undecided, but it's probably going to be... Wait, hold on. There was a vote recently about what the name of my new machine was, and I can't fucking remember which channel it was in.
You should call it Frodo, man. You should call it Frodo.
No, but Frodo...
He harnesses the power, right?
Frodo bears the ring, and I'm Frodo, and he is the ring, but I don't think he's the... Well, Craig was, I think, the top vote last time I saw it. As in the brute from Halo, and I quite like Craig, so he could be called Craig. I think that's probably going to be the one. So on top of like those consoles, ending with the PS4, which I've obviously spoken about a lot on the channel in the past, played a little bit of the Mega Drive, because at my dad's house, my stepbrother, who's pretty much exactly the same age as me, had a Mega Drive. He was a big Sega fan and retro fan, but he also had a Dreamcast, and I played a lot more of that, which is where my love for Power Stone is. And when Power Stone comes back, which it fucking eventually will, life will be all good, the world will look brighter, everything will be better.
So you've never had a gaming experience primarily on a keyboard?
Not really. Like, I've played PC games on and off, like at mates' houses or at work or whatever.
Office,
yeah. But never, consistently. And the mouse I've always loved, because you get so much freedom. You can much more accuracy. You can aim everywhere. Headshots are a piece of piss. It's the keyboard that takes a bit of
getting used to.
Yeah, feeling out for me, because it's my left hand. I'm very dominantly right-handed. Like I barely do anything with my left hand.
I think my very first game experience was the ZX Spectrum, right? And if you don't know what OPQA space, those are the controls back in the day. OPQA space. Imagine that: left, right, up, down, and space. That's how we used to control. No mouse. It was just like left, right, up, down, space. And the same with the Commodore Amiga. And then and then from that, I don't think I had a Super Nintendo, a Game Boy, but other than that, there was a dip in my gaming years, and then I went straight to the PlayStation, obviously, and then straight to the PC as soon as I could, essentially. But I think in my formative years, from the age of like 6, 7, 8, it was always keyboard. And then keyboard and mouse, and then as soon as I could afford it, when I got my first job, it was PC, and then from then on, and we're talking over 20 years ago now. Yeah. So it's been PC ever since. So I never really got into consoles. I've got them, but I don't really. It's not a mainstay.
I think that's such an important part of how you either become a console or PC player. Because I imagine. Well, your generation, as you were saying, on like the Commodore, that's already built kind of like a keyboard, so that's a more natural progression. Then there's kind of my age group, which is where consoles got much better to the point where they can actually run their own games pretty well for what they are, right? But then I feel like a lot of people, at least my age, became PC gamers because they had good PCs at home. Not necessarily their personal ones, but even like their family computer that they could run on, like Baldur's Gate or something like that. I never had that. It took us years to even get a PC, a shitty, Dell desktop. Like, I didn't have one in my house until I was in high school. So I would have been like, when did you go to high school? Like 11, I think.
Yeah. You turn 11 in high school, yeah.
Which is how old would I have been? I think 2007. Yeah, I went to high school in 2007. And it was awful. It was I say awful. It did what it needed to do. My mum used it for Microsoft Word to do like office stuff. That was basically it. Like, we didn't need it for anything else. So gaming was out of the question. I tried to play something. I think it might have been like a very, very early Command and Conquer. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, that looks cool. I think we had like a second-hand copy that a friend of a friend of a friend had given us. Not a chance that game would fucking work. Yeah. Like, they just couldn't do it. And then eventually we got like a laptop as opposed to a desktop so we could move it around the house. But again, same situation. It's for Microsoft Word, and that's basically it. And that motherfucker got overloaded with viruses before long. Well, I think that's because my brother, he's a bit older than me, he discovered torrenting. And he downloaded all of his music, and as such, the computer got infected.
Music and other stuff, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. See, I was far too young for any of such activities for a young boy. And then after that, I had my own laptop, but again, that was for schoolwork and then uni work. So it was never even considered, oh, let's try and play games on this, because it was such a additional expense on top. Whereas my consoles did everything I needed them to do. Yeah. The only blind spot, which I've always been envious of, really, in terms of PC space, that I can't get really at all on console, is strategy games. Like I said, Command and Conquer, I was like, that looks awesome. You're like above and you can control your guys and you can like flank and stuff, but it just never worked. And console stuff, there's a couple of them. Like Halo Wars I played, because I like Halo.
It's an XCOM on there now too.
Yeah, XCOM is as well. And it's fine. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But mouse and keyboard
it's just ultimately free. Just to get like across the screen, where you want to be at the moment you want to be. Yeah. But you picked up Gears. Well, you got Gears Tactics, and you played that on the Game Pass, didn't you? One of the first games you played.
So I was playing that on Xbox One X, and it ran reasonably for most of it, and then out of nowhere it's just crashed. Well, I say out of nowhere, I know exactly what caused it. Anytime you go into the crew menu, so you recruit people in the game, kind of like XCOM, but it's not as deep. And then you can like customize their appearance a little bit and swap out their armor, so they different stats, different perks and shit. But then it would just be like, nope, I'm gonna crash, hard reset you back to the beginning, and you're just gonna have to boot up again and hope for the best. Fortunately, the game's very forgiving with its save points and stuff, but honestly, it happened multiple times within like 5 minutes. It was insane. It just kept happening. But I then, once I got the PC set up, I was like, well, I've already started, I won't say XCOM there, Gears Tactics, so I might as well finish it. And it's got like cloud saves, and there's Xbox Game Pass for PC on PC, obviously. So I picked that up, and I was just like, yeah, this is the way. This is the one. This is smooth. This is nice. I can click where I want to click. I've got decent frame rate.
Somebody clip that a little bit. Somebody clip that. It's smooth. It's nice.
Smooth.
Henry describing his PC Master Race experience.
That's it, man.
Smooth.
Like, knock all the settings all the way up.
Yeah.
It ran beautifully.
As it's meant to be played, right?
Yeah. And I was just like, now looking at this, the gameplay quality, we can't zoom in much because it's a strategy game, but even the gameplay quality and gameplay cutscenes, if you know what I mean, look as good as like the proper cutscenes, or as good as a game like Gears 5, really. And Gears 5 is a really good looking game, even on console. And I plan to, after some Cyberpunk time, to circle back and try and do Gears 5 on PC to really flesh that out and see what that beast can do. So I might as well just say what the machine itself is. And most of this doesn't mean much to me at all. I just know they're high numbers that do good things, because I'm not techie at all. But so, in case this is your first time listening in, the PC is a combination of brand new parts and then second-hand parts or reused parts from Metal Shark, who is one of our very, very generous patrons, who's upgrading his own PC and then had like other bits flying around, and he's kind of compiled it. And Gaz, who donated, well, not really donated, but you paid Metal Shark to do some work, do some editing on the guitar channel, and as opposed to a direct money figure, it was the graphics card, right?
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't accept payment. He was like, "Oh, I'll do it just for free." I was like, "There's no way you're doing all this editing for me," because I was in it.
He's far too generous.
He was like, "No, I'll just do it. I've got the technology. I've got the expertise. I can do it." I'm like, "No way. You've completely dug me out of a hole. I need to give you something." And he was like, "Tell you what, you contribute this for Henry's PC, and we'll be square. And I was like, let's do it. So it's not really my goodwill.
No,
it's Metal Shock's. It's all Metal Shock, really. Yeah. So all the credit has to go to him.
So I just copied and pasted this from a message Metal Shock sent me. He basically sent me like a series of bullet points being like, what is the PC? What can I do on the PC? What does this and this kind of word mean? So 18 core i9 on an AIO. That's very different. AIO with 32 gigabytes of RAM and an NVIDIA RTX 3080.
So it's it's 3080 which is the graphics card that I put the money towards, or Metal Shock filled it towards. But let's look at the 18 core i9 processor. This is Metal Shock's spare processor, which is way above mine, which is a few years old now, but it still stands up. But Metal Shock's used bits.
Well, some of it, I don't know what bits are new, but he said that a lot of it is kind of cobbled.
No,
which is absolutely no problem.
Yeah, it's cobbled together, but if it's what he's thrown away, it's better than what majority of people got in their PCs. So
it's going to a very good home, let me tell you.
He's obviously a PC gaming enthusiast, as Metal Shock.
Yeah, yeah. And then I bought the monitor, which is a 1440p 144 hertz 32-inch curved monitor, and it takes up the entire fucking desk. And it's fabulous. Mm-hmm. So I barely know what most of that means. All I know is that it's really fucking powerful, and it's wonderful. Like, well, on the topic of how powerful it is, right? We've been talking about Cyberpunk. Everyone's been playing it. Well, trying to play it at the very least. And even my PC, which is, very nice, very shiny, very, very new, and can do all this wonderful stuff. Even my PC's having trouble with loads of stuff. Again, I've said it several times. Pretty much everything I'm facing isn't like game breaking. It's not crashing, really. I think I have actually had one crash, and I can't even remember what caused it. I think I was fucking about with settings and stuff, and it just gave up.
Yeah.
But there's so many little problems that I keep seeing over and over and over and over and over again, even on this quite impressive system. Yeah. So God knows how anyone could put up with it on PS4. Obviously, if you do have it on PS4, have fun, like wicked.
Are we getting into the Cyberpunk discussion now, or
fuck it, let's do it? Why not? We can circle back to anything else. Well, okay. I played Gears Tactics. That was great. I've already mentioned that. The next one was The Witcher 3. Well, and I didn't really do much at all in it. It was just kind of a benchmark to see, right, what happens if I put it on minimum? What happens if I put it on ultra? Yeah. Is there any visible degradation in frame rate or anything? There wasn't. Ran totally fine. But played through like the first 30 to 60 minutes. So after the dream sequence with Yen at the beginning in the tutorial, then you're in White Orchard, and then you go to a bar, I think, like an inn, and you're like, oh, have you seen the woman with black hair and she smells like lilac and gooseberries? And everyone's like, no, I haven't seen her. Fuck off, Witcher. Yeah. Like a fucking goon.
Yeah.
And then there's the Griffin shit. So really, really, really not very far. Even installed a couple of mods, which I think I touched on last week. So just little ones to make things look a little bit different. So that was that. But yeah, I've not really played enough Witcher 3 on PC beyond making sure it does work well. So the main test, the main event is Cyberpunk, which is, it runs graphically most of the time very, very, very well, even like with ray tracing and all that shit. So that's awesome. My comments, again, I sort of touched on some of this last week, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. In terms of first-person shooters on console, they can be pretty good. They're not bad. Like Doom Eternal is my game of the year this year, and I played that on PS4. But obviously, mouse and keyboard is the way. Well, specifically mouse for me, as I was saying. Keyboard, I'm getting much more comfortable with it, but there's just so many buttons, which is an advantage, but it's just kind of getting used to placement and stuff. But the mouse, like, it's just so freeing to be able to aim wherever you want, look at whoever you want. And I think as well, the way Cyberpunk does dialogue, because it's not just you, well, most of it's not just you standing there static, being like, oh, blah, 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 blah. You can look around. Yeah. You can even walk away and that can have an impact on the conversation.
You can pull a gun during the conversations too, and that,
if you want to.
that can end the conversation, and it might go down differently.
Yeah. Well, I was playing a bit yesterday, and a guy had like someone held hostage, and I was trying to talk him down, and it was one where there was a time limit as well, like the bar goes down, so it's quite stressful. I was like, what if I just fucking nail him? I've been mainly using handguns, so my handguns are really powerful. What if I just nail him in the face? this could backfire. He could
shoot,
not die, and then shoot this guy. But fuck it, I'll reload the save if that happens.
Safe's coming, man, for the win.
Save's coming. But yeah, I nailed him, and he died, and I was like, I feel like a real fucking cowboy right now because I took him out my way. Excellent. So that was awesome. So I've been using mouse and keyboard for everything apart from driving because it's just not right. Like and the fact one of the biggest problems for the keyboard is that in terms of walking and driving, the key is either on or off. Like there's no gradual thing like you have with a stick or a slow pull of the trigger. Yeah. And the game doesn't currently have like a walk button because often first-person games will have like hold like control or something to move slowly. And the amount of times where I'm following someone, they're like, "All right, meet me at my apartment. Like, walk with me." I'm like, "Run, run, 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 run,
stop,
run, run, run,
stop."
Like, stop. So that's kind of annoying. But again, it's like a bit of a minor gripe, and I imagine that's something they can very easily patch in. I've completely lost my place.
in terms of I'm just circling back to the driving, right? A lot of people say that the driving isn't good, but I think if you're wired to just want to throttle it the whole time, I think that's where you might struggle. For me, driving's fine because I'm just tapping the I'm not going full throttle. I'm just tapping the accelerator and lifting off, and then navigating if there's a turn in or in between cars or whatever, and then just tapping the throttle on and off like that, and I just get used to that. And you know, if that's not how it's meant to be played, or it's supposed to be able to throttle on and whatever, I'm managing. I find the driving's fine. So
yeah, I think the driving is fine. It could be better.
I don't know.
I think
no big deal for me.
I'm fine with like acceleration and speed and everything. The cars do feel a little bit different, but the one thing consistent across all of them is they're skatey. Like you can, excuse me, if you make a turn, he will spin out or not fucking turn at all.
Yeah.
And again, that varies between car. I think I said last time, the brakes don't fucking do anything. Like especially because the map is quite zoomed in when you're driving. So there'll be a turn and it comes out fucking nowhere, especially because you're moving, 100 miles an hour, even slower. Like it still happens. I'm like, all right, let's handbrake turn into that. Nope, you ain't doing that. You're spinning all of the way around, or you're not stopping and you're going straight past the turn you need to make. So you need to whip around, probably run someone over, get the dumb police on you who can't do shit. Turns out there's no police around, so it says, "Oh, you wanted? Yeah, you're not wanted anymore. Don't worry about it, buddy."
Yeah, don't worry about it. Think your thought in the future like that, where technology is everywhere, that your wanted level might stick around a little bit longer. Where they can have surveillance on you at all times around the city. You'd have thought they'd come up with a system to be able to track criminals a little bit better than they've got.
And then because Cyberpunk, a Night City is such a corrupt place, I was kind of not hoping for, because they never said it, so like it's not like I was expecting it, but it would be cool if you could talk to the cops when they come up to you and bribe them and say, all right, well, if you turn a blind eye to this, I'll give you, $100 or whatever. Give it to them, kill them anyway, and take it back.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, so I've basically been running it on Ultra with ray tracing. Sometimes I flip between ray tracing medium and ray tracing Ultra, because I think then there's that one above it, which is Psycho, I think. Yeah. And I can run it frame rate wise totally fine on max everything. Yeah. But the problem that really bugs me is pop-in, especially when I'm driving. Like, there'll be pedestrians doing whatever the fuck they want, and their AI is rubbish, and they just walk in circles, and they spawn all at once, and they're like, we're a group of penguins, just bumping into each other. Or there'll be like buildings where the textures are like kind of iffy, and then snap, they're in.
Yeah.
The worst instance of it literally almost broke, not the game, but the quest activity is probably a better word. So I was doing a race with Claire, and I fancy Claire so much, but I'm pretty sure you can't romance her, which is a real bummer. So we're driving along, doing the race, doing well, and then out of nowhere, the car just appears next to me. I'm like, I was sure I was further ahead than this. I've been racing real clean, car's doing pretty well. Then I turn the camera behind me, and all the cars are just like drive, pop, they're gone. Drive, pop, they're gone. It's like they can't render them because they're kind of on the cusp of being too far away, but kind of just in. So their positions change all the time. At one point, I went from first to third just because the cars popped up. Like, it wasn't in my screen, so I can't guarantee that's what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe they just did some amazing, Formula One driving shit and just zipped past, but I don't buy it.
No.
It cost me the race on one of them. I came second
That's
instead of
annoying.
first. It pissed me off.
It's so very rough around the edges, this game. I think I have to say this now. I've given up for now on Cyberpunk.
For now is the key.
Yeah, I've given up for now. I've not given up on it wholly because I know they'll sort it out and they'll sort out the issues. However, I mean, other people have got their own opinions and their own tolerances for bugs and also their own different experiences with the bugs. But for me, it's not playable. It really isn't. And obviously, it's a massive subjective opinion and experience. So if you're having a great time with it, more power to you, dude. Have a great time with it. But for me, I just can't play it anymore. There are a few instances that are just ruining the whole experience for me. I'm the kind of person who likes to play a game through once and not really go back a lot, especially if it's a story-driven game. Once the story's experienced, there's not really that much of an attraction to play it through again. I probably will do with a game like Cyberpunk. I've played through Fallout New Vegas a few times, so it's probably one of the games that I will come back to. But having that first experience with the story be as good as it can be is really important to me because I'll probably not experience the whole thing again. So when I'm in a story mission and I'm coming to the end of a very, a mission that's involved a bit of setup, and then I'm getting to like rescue the final rescue, and then just when that moment of impact comes, when the whole crescendo comes, to see my helper NPC just sliding along the ground when this person's half dead and we've just rescued her and she's unconscious, and it's a quite an evocative moment, and then to see someone skate around on their knees and then just they're talking to you and the mouth isn't moving, and then the wire that was stuck to Evelyn's head was just like floating in midair. I'm like, this is completely like taking me out of the situation. I should be emotionally in tune with what's going on here and with all these characters, and I just can't. There's no connection. I'm like, this isn't how it's supposed to be experienced, and I cannot get the optimum experience from this now. I probably never will again. So if I continue to, and that's just one instance, right? And it's every single mission for me on my system and in my. I'm not even running on a bad system, and this is one of the things that they've not really addressed is the performance is really bad for some people on PC. It's really bad. There was this one mission where just after that, my whole user interface went like my menu screen was not showing all the graphics, just some of the text. And it's time and time again is where there's a mission where I'm at somebody's wake. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I was at somebody's wake, and again, it's a very touching moment. It's one of those moments where you're like, this is a special. There's not many games that do this, take you on this emotional journey and have you participate in the grieving of somebody who you felt close to and who you've lost, and it's a really special moment. And again, it was ruined, like floating things, people skating around, and people's faces, mouths not moving. I'm like, this isn't it for me. Yeah. And that's where I drew the line. I was like, I would rather wait the 6-12 months until all this is ironed out and then have that experience that it's supposed to be experienced. And I know other people haven't had these issues, or they might be able to tolerate that, but I want to be connected with the emotions that my character is supposed to be connected with without being zapped out of the immersion by these petty little bugs. I don't know, it's almost a waste of a good opportunity for me, so I'm not doing it.
I totally get that. Like, one of my biggest ones at the moment, and again, this happens like consistently all the time in kind of little ways that constantly undermine any important emotional beats. And then, like, I won't spoil it, but if you've done the prologue, you've seen it. Important moment, the high emotions, let's just say, and there's the guy like brings his hand up to his head to like touch his head or something, and his gun, which he's not holding, he's not even got the hand positioned to be holding it, is floating attached to his hand and goes through his head. And he's like confiding in me. Yeah. And it's a very important, as I say, like a crescendo moment. I'm like, I feel nothing right now because you've totally taken me out of it.
Exactly.
And it happens all the time. Like, all very regularly, when Johnny Hand lights a cigarette, it's just there. Just hovering, and that's what he does a lot. Yeah. He's a chain-smoking guy. So it really... I think that it really bugs me.
That is the main problem for me. That like I can deal with all the glitches and pop in when you're driving around and the occasional enemy like just T-posing or whatever. That's fine. I can deal with that. But when the whole point of the game is undermined, the whole point is to experience the game as V, and it's a role-playing game. You're supposed to get into this character's mind. You're supposed to become this character. That's the whole point of a role-playing game. You're supposed to become this character, and to not be able to experience it the way it was supposed to be experienced, it's just a waste of time for me. I don't know, and that's the biggest frustration, because I see a lot of people like, people are undermining the fact that it's all right, it's fine. Like, what you're complaining about? There's no great bugs, and it's like for me, it's I don't know. It's not where it's supposed to be. It's just not where it's supposed to be.
And because the story is so front and center, but also like there's so much attention on it. It's very well written, very well acted. Yeah. A few people are criticizing Keanu, and I'm like, Keanu isn't the best actor in the world. You cast Keanu because you want Keanu. Keanu brings the Keanu. Yeah. He's not bringing anything else. He's not bringing an Oscar performance. He's probably going to sound a bit wooden. He always does, even in some of his best movies like The Matrix. But Keanu's Keanu. Like, every time I'm looking at him, I'm like, he's got my attention. And then there's a cigarette just floating. Yeah. I'm like, why? You've ruined it. The writing's great. The most of the time, the animation's great. Like, everything comes together, and I'm like, I'm totally in the zone because they've done all of that stuff so well. And then let's just have this NPC like...
I'm trying to think of a good analogy, right? And one's just popped to my mind because I've seen it discussed, and it's a question later on, but take the best pizza that you've ever seen and smelt and just like anticipating this beautiful taste, and it should be experienced like that, and then someone comes along out of nowhere and just throws pineapple on top. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what are you doing? Tainting
this is a question for later.
This experience with that shitty pineapple on my pizza. Fuck off.
Well, that's the way I feel. That answers the question, and get that fucking pineapple off my pizza right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're foreshadowing a question later on. We'll get to that. But
although I just did a quest yesterday. I think I was meeting up with Judy, who, and I'll save you the heartache. I don't think it's a spoiler. You can Google it otherwise.
Okay.
It's not a story spoiler. It's not a story spoiler. It's if you are a male body V, you can't romance Judy.
Yeah. We got that. We can get that by the
arrow through the heart.
By the way she shaved the side of her head. You can always tell. You can always tell
But she's still smoking. Maybe she's open to someone else. So that broke my heart a little bit. I'm pretty sure Claire, as I said earlier, I don't think she's romanceable. My new target, I'm certain she is. Yeah. So she's
on your hit list.
She will be my bride one day, assuming partway through the scene, like where we're getting jiggy with it, you know, Johnny Silverhand's nut doesn't just twitch through the fucking screen or whatever. Like one of my most annoying glitches, and it's so fucking minor, but it's so annoying, is constantly in my top weapon slot. So you get 3 weapons, and you can put like anything in any of them, like pistol, shotgun, pistol, shotgun, sword, whatever. Every single time in my top one, it says I've got something new. I don't. I'm breaking down pretty much all of my guns because they're worth no money and I need crafting parts.
If you go along to melee weapons, it might be a new melee weapon. Is that
nope?
All right.
Nope.
Because that was it for me. I was like, oh, what is this? And then I checked. There's like weapons, there's melee, and then there's attachments or something. I don't know,
mods and scopes and stuff.
I thought, you've just got to. Yeah, that is pretty annoying. If that's
that really pissed me off. Another one which really annoyed me yesterday. I crafted a weapon because, as I said, I like my pistols because that's kind of the gunslinger kind of character I'm doing at the moment.
Powerful as well.
They're really good. I crafted a new one because it was better than all of my current ones. So I was like, I barely do crafting because it's mostly useless. And the resources are so few and far between. The crafting's another fucking conversation. Built it, and I get it out, and it's not that pistol. Like, he holds it like it is, and it behaves like it is, but it's the wrong model. It's a shotgun, like a really, really short, stubby shotgun. I was like, okay, I just spent loads of crafting materials on this. It's like a rare class weapon. It's really good, and now I can't even aim with it. So he aims it, and instead of having your little iron sights or a scope, or whatever you've put on it, because it's the wrong model, it fills up the space wrong, and there's this whole thing in the way, so you can't aim at what you're trying to aim at. So, like, fundamentally, this doesn't work. It's not like he's just holding the wrong thing and it still functions kind of the same. It occupies the wrong space. And I was like, well, this gun's a complete waste on me now. I used loads of crafting shit to get it. So I'm just going to break it down and just leave it. Like, what a waste of fucking time.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, there's lots wrong with it. I'm glad that people are able to...
I do like the game, on balance. Like,
I love the game, and that's why I can't play it.
Being in Night City is awesome.
If it was a game that I didn't like so much, I could just blast through it and not care that I was missing out on those heartfelt, emotional story beats. You know, exactly. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to ruin my experience with the game. So that's because I like it so much. I've had to put it to one side. But I'm glad that people are still able to enjoy it in its current state.
If you love it, you gotta let it go.
Yeah, that's up to. It's true. But there you have it. I think that's a good place to move on. I think we've covered Henry's migration or transition to PC and Cyberpunk as well. Where we are with Cyberpunk. Are you planning on doing a review at some point, or?
I mean, I don't know how much I probably won't do a review because by the time I finish it, because I like taking my time with stuff. So by the time I finish it, it'll probably be a bit late.
Yeah. And
I've taken a real break on the story because a lot of people say, "Oh, the main story is really short," but I actually really like the way it's structured. It's bang, 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 bang through the main story, and then all of the other stuff splinters from there. So it's like, all right, you meet Judy. She's in the main story for like a couple of quests, and then after that, she doesn't really show up. But then you can go off and do her whole other storyline, personal to her.
If you want more Judy.
Yeah, if you want more, and who doesn't want more Judy? Am I right? And then you do the same thing. Like, let's go. All right, we need to drive this car to do something. And now there's a whole separate quest line with the car, like the AI in the car. Yeah. So I think that's a really good way to structure it.
It's different. So there you have it. That's Cyberpunk. Let's move on to the next segment, which is the community segment, which begins with me reading out who are the new pledges this week. And we've got 2 new pledges to our Patreon, which come in the form of Craig Brown, which is a $1 per month pledge. Appreciate that, Mr. Brown. Every single dollar helps us out. Zlatan Viola is a $5 pledger this week too. $5 per month. Thanks very much to you guys. And if you do want to support the channel and help us bring this content in the future, patreon.com/prettygoodgaming is where you should go, or you can hit the join button on the YouTube memberships. And from as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to this podcast. So 2 days early, well worth it. As well as access to our Patreon-only part of the Discord, where you can ask us questions in the podcast, participate in the community, and we are planning on getting some games going now. We're both on PC, so that's going to be coming up soon. There's a great bunch of people over on the Patreon Discord, all conversing, and it's just a fun time to be had. And also, you get a satisfaction of knowing that you're supporting us bringing this content because we struggle just like any YouTuber, but it's really important to us that we have got support from the community, from the people who do watch our content and do appreciate the podcast and that. If you ever thought about maybe I'll support them once in a while, I implore you, please, if you have the thought and you've had the inclination to do it, we would really appreciate it if you did. So thanks very much. With that all said, let's move on to the quiz this week, which is the Metal Shark quiz of the week this week, and it's to be read by me, so I'm going to jump straight in. A nice, gentle Christmas-themed quiz to see the year out. Hoping you two are taking a break now. So I don't know what the podcast schedule is. It like Christmas Day this time next week? It's like Christmas Eve this time next week.
Well, yeah, we haven't really discussed it, but I'm going home at I think on the 23rd, but I think I'm probably going to bring like my mic and maybe the camera. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just in case I do fancy doing something, if out of nowhere Activision crumbles or the opposite, they decide to give all of their worth to charity. If Bobby Kotick is like, you know what, I'm going to single-handedly end world hunger, because he probably could, then maybe I'll do something. So I could probably record at home, but nothing's in stone yet. We can talk about it more later.
Wait and see. It's kind of crept up on us on Nick Christmas.
Really has.
Anyway, so we got lifelines. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but gaming essentially. If you're new here,
Who Wants to Be a Gaming Know-It-All?
Who Wants to Be a Gaming Know-It-All is what it is. And we've got 3 lifelines. So we've got a 50-50. Henry can ask me who... And I'm allowed to see the 50-50 beforehand to help you. And then you get 1 free pass where you get the point. I mean, what? That's just like... Let's just do 9 questions, shall we? Let's just do 9 questions. Let's do 9 questions, give you 1 for free. Oh, no. Never mind. Anyway, it's
Christmas. It's going to probably be quite hard.
Okay, yeah, it's a free present. It'll give you the present. At the very least, you've got to think technically about when you're going to use that, because you never know whether you're going to get a harder question down the line, or maybe I don't know. It's all about choices. So you've got three of those. Let's jump into question number 1 then, Henry. Question number 1. Overcooked 2 released a free update for Christmas 2018 called Kevin's Christmas Cracker. Which of the following recipes was not included? Was it A, hot chocolate, B, Christmas pudding, C, mince pies, or D, Hawaiian pizza?
I want to say Hawaiian pizza because get that shit out of my life, but it's the least Christmassy thing. So I'm like, surely it's that one. But for a game like Overcooked, well, I think I've played Overcooked 1, and I tried playing it with my girlfriend, and we almost broke up because of it. There's a stressful fucking game for a couple to work through. But Hawaiian pizza, it kind of, I don't know, I feel like it kind of works in that game because you need to make the one ingredient is the base, then one ingredient is the ham, then one ingredient is the pineapple, and then maybe one is the cheese, and there you go. That's like I can understand a gamification of that. Mm-hmm. But I can't believe that it's going to be in the Christmas thing. So I'm going to have to say Hawaiian pizza
is the correct answer. Your rationale was a bit flaky till the very end. The very last sentence brought you back because I thought you were going to go for hot chocolate or something. I'm like, Hawaiian pizza just doesn't deserve. I mean, Hawaiian pizza would be in the base game if anything, not the
that's true. It might be in the base game.
So that was correct. 1 from 1. Question number 2. In Don't Starve, the seasonal monster called the Krampus appears when the player performs what naughty action too often? Was it A, throwing snowballs, B, killing innocent creatures, C, burning wood, or D, leaving the toilet seat up?
I'm not familiar with Don't Starve at all. I remember its name, but I think it's like a sort of survival game, but I can't really remember. Mm-hmm. The Krampus, isn't that it's like evil Santa Claus or something like it's the Christmas evil creature, mm-hmm. evil monster. So, because it's a monster, I would probably say killing innocent creatures. I don't think leaving the toilet seat up or throwing snowballs or burning wood really warrants this nightmare creature to come after you and try and kill you. So it's got to be, for any sense of justice, killing innocent creatures.
Is that your final answer, Henry?
That is.
It is correct. Killing innocent creatures. And that's what I would have said too, having played Don't Starve. So that's 2 from 2. Third question. The plot of Dead Rising 4 is a zombie outbreak during a near-future festive season. Which day saw the virus spread across Willamette, Colorado? Willamette, Colorado. Is it A, Christmas Day, B, Thanksgiving, C, Boxing Day, or D, Black Friday?
Okay. I've never played any of the Dead Rising games in full. I've played like most of them, at least in bits and pieces. And 4, all I remember is that it's like festive.
Yeah.
I don't remember which specific bit. I mean, maybe Christmas Day. That's the only one I'm kind of leaning on. I don't see why it would be Black Friday. That's not really a real day. It's just a stupid marketing thing that everyone goes bananas for. Boxing Day. I mean, yeah, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know. Why would you set it on Boxing Day? Why would you set it on the day after Christmas and not Christmas? Unless it's meant to be like a big metaphor for how everyone feels sort of hungover and a little bit fat the next day. Maybe that's it. Maybe everyone who overconsumes on Christmas Day, they're the real zombies. It's a massively anti-capitalist game. Perhaps that's the truth. But no, I'll go Christmas Day.
Is the correct answer, I think.
There we go.
Oh, is the wrong answer. I'm very sorry. Because I thought it was Christmas Day and didn't check the answer. The answer is Black Friday.
I thought it was the answer, and I know I'm right.
Sorry, I've got egg on my face too, but wow. Yeah, you got that. So it's Black Friday.
Maybe it's a commentary on people being zombies when they go and beat each other up to buy a TV.
I am very surprised by that. But there you go. 2 from 3. Question number 4: which game has you sneaking into houses delivering presents? as Santa? Is it A, Merry Gear Solid, B, Santa Cell, C, Hitman Mission to Deliver, or D, Stealth Santa?
Oh, man. I mean, I would imagine none of these are official releases by their respective companies, but Merry Gear Solid is a pretty great name.
Yeah.
Because Metal Gear Solid's a dumbass name anyway. Like, it's just, here's cool words stuck together. Yeah, let's go Merry Gear Solid. Well, maybe I should use a lifeline. How far through are we? Oh, it's only question 4. Can I get away with saving them? Well, things I don't know what any of them are, and I doubt you know what any of them are, so none of our lifelines are going to be particularly beneficial. They might be better served elsewhere. So I'm going to go Merry Gear Solid, damn it.
Merry Gear Solid is a good guess. It's the correct answer.
Yeah. And is it actually the correct answer now, or is it just what you were going to go with?
I mean, yes, it's the correct answer. Yeah, it's all of the above. So that's 3 from 4, and you're doing well with these guesses so far. Question number 5 is next. Christmas Nights into Dreams was a free sample version of the full game, with some unique levels released on which platform? Was it A, PlayStation, B, Sega Saturn, C, Nintendo 64, or D, PC? Christmas Nights into Dreams.
If I remember correctly, Nights is that weird, trippy Sega game. I think it's made by the creator of Sonic, or someone connected to Sonic is involved in it, and it's just weird as fuck. So I would imagine Sega Saturn, because it's their thing. What are my lifelines? It's Ask You, 50-50, and do I get anything else? Ask As, who gets to see the 50-50 beforehand. Okay. Or 1 free pass, right. I'm only on 3 out of 4, so I have made a mistake already. Screw it, let's live dangerously. Sega Saturn.
Shoot from the hip is the correct answer. It's Sega Saturn, and I've definitely checked the answer of that one. So that's 4 from 5. Question number 6. Which vehicle combat game takes place in the streets of Los Angeles during Christmas Eve 2005? Is it A, Twisted Metal, B, Destruction Derby, C, Red Line, or D, Wipeout?
Okay, I can't remember what Red Line is. Wipeout, it's a sci-fi one. It's this kind of like F-Zero in a way, I think, pretty sure. Good game. Destruction Derby, that's it, just in a Destruction Derby.
Yep.
Well, along with many maps. So I'd say probably Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal, is that your final answer?
Yeah, go on.
Is the correct answer. That's 5 correct from 6, and you've got 3 lifelines and 4 questions remaining. This is question number 7. What is the name of the bonus mission in Hitman's December 2016 update, partially created to support the World Cancer Research Fund? Was it A, Ho Ho Hitman, B, Holiday Hoarders, C, Santa Slayer, or D, 'Twas the Night Before Hitmas?
Okay. If it's for World Cancer, I don't think they're going to want to put their name on something called Santa Slayer. I think that's a bit too aggressive for them. Ho Ho Hitman, I quite like Ho Ho Hitman, and it feels like something people can quite easily remember as like a Christmas promo type thing. Holiday Hoarders, I just don't think that's a particularly good name. I mean, well, for like a Christmassy thing, I mean, yeah, you kind of hoard presents, I suppose, but I don't buy it. 'Twas the Night Before Hitmas.
Nice pun.
That's a dumb fucking name that some idiot in PR would think of, not a game creator. So that I kind of feel like that might be it. But I like Ho Ho Hitman, just like Merry Gear Solid. I'm gonna go Ho Ho Hitman.
Is that your final answer?
Why not?
Is wrong. It's Holiday Hoarders.
It's the... What the fuck is stupid?
I mean,
name.
You've got lifelines there, dude, and you've just... I mean, what, you know... Unlucky.
I'm
Unlucky,
taking the risks.
I mean, you've been shooting from the hip and it's worked out kind of well for you. But you're on 5 correct from 7, and there's 3 left.
Thing is, I should have applied my same logic about it being a dumb fucking name for PR companies for Holiday Hoarders. That's also a dumb fucking name.
Yeah. There you go. Question number 8 next. Which game has a DLC where you play as an elf escaping Santa's sweatshop? Is it A, Gunpoint, B, Invisible Ink, C, No Way Out, or D, The Escapists?
The only one of those I know of is No Way Out, and I think I would probably know if it had a Santa's sweatshop thing, which actually sounds brilliant. Can I use my 50/50 / ask you question?
Okay. My instinct is the escapists. Having seen the 50/50, it's still there, and I know nothing about the alternative.
Right. I will go with what you said because I've nothing to add. No input.
Basically, the premise of the escape, it is the right answer, by the way. It is the right answer.
Fabulous.
But basically, the premise of the escapists is you got to escape from a prison, or you've got to find your way out of somewhere. So it perfectly fits in with. It makes great sense for the escapists to have that as a lesson during a DLC at Christmas. So that's why I said that. Yeah. So that is correct. You have got 6 correct from 8. Well used that lifeline. Even though it was just an inclination from me. And question number 9 is next. Clay Fighter 30... Fuck this, sorry. Clay Fighter 63 and a third features a Sumo Santa, which of the following is not a dialogue line that the character has. So three of these are a dialogue from Clay Fighter 63 and a third, and one of them isn't. So is it A, I'm adding you to the naughty list? Is it B, Flabalanche?
Like an avalanche of flab.
C, I'm going to ride you through the snow. Or D, Santa's going to sit on your lap.
This is really unpleasant. I mean, I've got 2 lifelines now, so I might as well use them one each on these questions. Can I use... Let's go for the 50/50.
50/50 is Flabalanche or I'm going to ride you through the snow.
I think Flabalanche is too good to pass up for like a video game catchphrase for him to shout when he runs to someone. Just go, Flabalanche! I'm going to ride you through the snow. Like, I've never played the game. I don't know if that's what Sumo Santa sounds like, but it's what I'm hearing in my head. I'm going to ride you through the snow. Yeah, all right, I'll keep... So not a dialogue is the question. So I'll say the answer is C. I'm going to ride you through the snow. I don't think that's what he says.
Yeah, that kind of makes most sense. Is the correct answer Santa's going to sit on your lap, because that would be a threat because he's so fat, because he's a sumo wrestler. He's going to crush you.
Flabalanche, and I assume this is a fighting game. Yeah. So it's like,
Flabalanche is, again, it's another threat of, like, I've got all this fat, it's coming down on you. I'm going to add you to the naughty list. That's a pretty, Santa Christmassy type of thing.
It's basic.
I'm going to ride you through the snow. Not quite. It doesn't quite fit. That would be my reasoning. But yeah,
it's just a bit too aggressively sexual, because I'm adding you to the naughty list. That could be interpreted as, I'm going to add you to the naughty list, winky wink. Or it could be, I'm just going to beat the shit out of you because you're bad. Instead of a lump of coal, you're getting a punch.
Okay, so you've got 6 correct from 9. Is that right? Did you get 3 wrong?
2 wrong.
So 7 from 9, and you've got a freebie on the last one, because that's just your lifeline. Question, might as well read it. Question 10. What NBA Jam edition features Santa's Slammers? Santa plus 2 elves. Is it A, Tournament Edition, B, On Fire, C, Hang Time, or D, Hoops with a Z?
I have absolutely no idea. So, as if I wasn't going to do it anyway, I'll use my pass action.
Your free pass. Is correct, Henry. The answer is B, On Fire. Well done.
That was right on the tip of my tongue, that one.
Well done. Thanks. Well done for getting 8 out of 10 to begin with. Congratulations. That is a decent score. And thanks to Metal Shark, as always, for the commitment and the effort he goes to compile these quizzes for us every single week. Thank you very much, dude. Your service is greatly appreciated. Let's move on to the questions put to us by the Patreon Discord members. And Henry, would you like to read the first one?
Let's go. This is from Humvg 1994. Can't remember how we pronounce it, so I'm going to stick with Humvg. The grammar in this question is going to be all over the place, but bear with me. Don't worry, we fuck up everything we read all the time, so even if you're not making a mistake, we will. Okay. For each of you, who is your favourite character introduced in the previous console generation? They could be from long-established game series, but they must have been introduced in the previous generation. So, for example, you couldn't pick Ellie or Joel because they were introduced in the PS3 era, era. But you could pick Abby, if you were so inclined, because she was introduced in the PS4 era. My personal choice would be Aloy. Okay, so what character do we like who's a newcomer for this generation?
I choose Abby. What?
Are you sure about that?
I mean, what's not to like about Abby, apart from everything? Yeah.
Well, Abby is a good character. Oh dear, is a good character because you don't like her so much. Like, she's explicitly built to be that way. So in that way, yeah, alright.
Probably the most hated character, Abby.
Exactly, but deliberately so.
Yeah.
Deliberately so. Well, then they try and humanize her to varying degrees of success.
Doesn't work. Anyway,
it works for a lot of people.
Game reviewers, because they've got to be over their own personal. It's a whole kind of worms. Let's not go into that. Okay, what was your personal choice? I think Aloy is a very good shout.
Aloy's great.
It's a very good
I've talked
shout.
about her a lot. Every time I talk about her, I love that she's a total straight-faced bitch. Yeah. Like, anytime someone's like, the sun god has given us something, she's like, no, it's a robot. It's over there. Yeah. You're a damn fuck. Come on.
I don't think there's many people to try and. I mean, John Marston.
Well, Arthur Morgan. But John came out last generation. Arthur Morgan's gone.
That's Arthur Morgan. Can he compete with Aloy? Is he better?
Arthur Morgan is brilliant. He's real fucking good. I was about to say Geralt, but no, he was old.
Yeah,
because he's cool. Oh, this is a really tough question. Right, let's go from like my favorite games of recently. Doom. It's my game of the year this year. Doom guy. He was introduced in the past. Any other characters in that? No, it's that no one cares about the story of that game. What else came out this year that I liked? Final Fantasy VII. No, it's an old game. Resident Evil 3. Didn't like that, and it was an old game. Ghost of Tsushima. Jin. Jin's cool. I like Jin a lot because he's. Well, some people would say he's boring, but that's because he's so stoic and a very, very traditional sort of proud samurai in that kind of way. So I like him. Baldur was cool in God of War because you can't really say Kratos. Atreus was a bit too annoying, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Arthur Morgan, though, I'm coming back to him. I think he could be the one.
I mean, Senua from Hellblade.
Oh, Senua was cool. Senua was very cool.
Pretty good shout, that one, I think. But I think Halo takes it for me.
Aloy is awesome.
Yeah.
Deacon from Days Gone.
Oh, yeah.
He got a bit of heat for being a straight white male protagonist from certain outlets, but
his heart's in the right place, man.
Yeah. He's a simple, gruff bloke, but he's good at it, and Sam Witwer was brilliant.
Tell you what, fuck it. Let's screw those reviewers. I'm going to go with Deacon.
I'll go for another gruff white male protagonist, and I'll go for Arthur.
Yes, let's stick it up those bloody reviewers' backsides. Yeah, let's do it. Arthur Morgan and Deacon. Thanks for the question, MH.
Aloy is an absolutely solid shout.
By default, she wins. Anyway, another question from MHVG994. What's the best retro-style game you've come across? I'm quite fond of Dusk, myself. Also, there are plenty of love it or hate it games around. Of these, what is one that you love and one that you hate, and why? So first, what's the best retro-style game you've come across?
I don't really play that many retro games.
Well, you will do now. You got a PC.
Styles. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, one of my favourite things about getting the PC is going on. I think I was looking on GOG. I'm pretty sure it's on Steam as well. Being like, I can finally, after all these years, play Metal Gear Solid again, and it'll still look like shit because it's on the PS1 and boxy.
Yeah. But
I can finally do it. Because I haven't had my PS1 is God knows where. All right, so best retro style game. Oh, I don't know. What would I pick? Because visually there's a lot of kind of retro style games, but they kind of are slightly more modern. Like there's pixel art games, but they've still got kind of modern sensibilities. Well, I recently played Ori. Which one? The first one. I can't remember. Is it Ori and the Blind Forest is first, and then Ori and the Will of the Wisp? That's kind of a retro style game because it's Metroidvania and quite traditional Metroidvania. So kind of that was great. I really enjoyed that. It was really quite challenging at times because it's very, very precise platforming. So maybe that.
I think it's difficult to pin down retro style game. I think you can call any kind of pixel art indie game a retro style game, but I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, Dusk itself, I had a quick look. It's more like, it's like a Quake Doom, old style Doom kind of shooter, Serious Sam kind of thing.
Arena shooter, yeah.
Fast
So
moving,
that's
and
not
just
like super
flying,
retro.
flying enemies. So yeah, it's I don't think it's an arena shooter. It's just more like Doom, like the old Doom,
or a
64
game like retro style in the sense that its gameplay didn't really change much. They just perfected it. It would be something like Devil May Cry 5. It's a perfection of what they were already doing. They don't really add anything new. All of the like new advancements and stuff are making it look hyper realistic, but still having like crazy over the top action.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of.
Yeah, and that's I can't think. I'm blanking on this one. Let's move on to the part of the question. There are plenty of love it or hate it games around. Of these games, what is one that you love and one that you hate? A love it or hate it game. So let's like these Marmite type of games that you're very divisive. You either love it or you hate it. So we want two games, Henry. One that you actually love and one that you do hate. Divisive games.
Hate is I don't think there's any games I hate, because if I hate or I know I'm going to hate it, I just won't play it at all. I'll swear it off. But I guess maybe something like Bloodborne, because it's not a game for me. It came out on PS Plus a few years ago.
Cool.
I played it. It's a lot of people's game of the generation. Like, a lot of people really fucking love it. I just think for what I like to get out of a video game, it didn't scratch that itch. I thought, yeah, it was hard, but the combat didn't change. It's just dodging and brutal hits. And I'm like, well, that's like one of the reasons I really like Devil May Cry is it can be very hard, but also it's creative. You've got to do all these crazy moves, and it's all exciting and engaging instead of dodge, hit, or occasionally shoot with Bloodborne as well. So that's probably that. I love it game. I kind of just want to say The Last of Us 2. I don't love it, but I can't, like, it's a proper love it or hate it game for like so many people. I think that qualifies as the most recent example of it.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I don't hate it. To be fair, I love half of it. I don't even think I hate the second half.
Love and hate it.
I think kind of.
Time, yeah, it's the kind of way I feel. I love, first half of it was amazing. I played 15 hours of it and then put it down and not play the second half of it, and I would have thought it was a really decent game. But yeah, I both love and equally hate The Last of Us 2. But I think the hate it for me will be Sekiro. Sekiro was just one of those where it's just like,
similar to my answer.
Yeah, well, I was kind of riding on your coattails on that one. There's plenty of games that I can say that I hate. And I spent loads of time in, but yeah, I think that one takes the biscuit. And the divisive game that I love, I don't know. There's a few of them too. Days Gone could be a divisive game that I love, but I mean, if you read, only if you take the opinions of reviewers seriously, which not many people do anyway. I don't know. I'm struggling to find a game that I love. I tend to focus on the negative emotions. I'm learning that about myself.
I don't think many people hate it anymore, but it certainly had a huge, hubbub at launch. But Shadow of War is a brilliant game. There's nothing that plays like it apart from the other one, the first one. But this is like a better version of that.
Shadow of Mordor.
And loads of people. Yeah, Mordor was first, then War. Terrible fucking name. It's so vague. But yeah, I think it's such a good game. Nothing plays like it, and nothing has since come along that does its Nemesis system right, because it's like a combination of Assassin's Creed and Batman Arkham and loads of its actual gameplay, but then all the Nemesis stuff is totally original. And after they took out all the loot boxes and shit, which is when I got around to it, because I played it a little bit late, because of all that controversy, it's brilliant. And I don't think it's not had such like a revival in the same sense that Battlefront 2 or No Man's Sky did, because it's just kind of like a single player play it yourself game. They took shit out, but they didn't really put much back in to like. There's some DLC, but
I guess my love it one would be Fallout 4. Although I don't entirely love it, I've never completed it. But Fallout 4, I did have a decent time with it, so I can use that as an answer. Let's say I don't entirely love it, so it's not the perfect answer, but I do like Fallout 4. It's the most recent best memory of a Fallout game. Let's put it that way.
Let's do a fun one. Metro Exodus. It's a really fucking good game, but loads of people hate it because of everything around it, with all of the Epic Games stuff. I think it's a brilliant game.
Yeah, it's the Epic Games furore.
They hate the environment around it.
Anyway, thanks for the questions, Mr. MHVG. Let's move on.
Right, here we go. Now we're into the real controversy. Forget about what you love and hate. Forget about Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed doing some bullshit like they usually do. This is the one. This is from Tons, or rather his current name, Tons Who Stole Christmas, because he's a little grinchy bastard. So guys, what's your stance on pineapple on pizza? Surely you two can agree that this is a war crime worthy of standing trial at the ICC in The Hague. Yes, get it the fuck out of here. I like pineapple. I like pizza. If you give me a pizza with pineapple on, I will take the pineapple off and eat it independently. I'll have a very lovely time. But that pineapple's not going in my mouth with the pizza. It's not happening.
No. Obviously, pizza should never have pineapple on it, and I think we're all in agreement here. There's been a huge debate on the Discord this week. It's been back and forth, and I think we should just put it to rest. I think I mentioned it earlier. Cyberpunk is pineapple pizza for me. It's like you can't enjoy it with all that. You can't take the pineapples off at the moment. I mean, it's a perfect. It's a piece of art without the pineapple.
This came into my head earlier, but I forgot to mention it, so it's now back. There is a moment where you can pick your pizza. Like, you meet up with people and like, hey, what pizza do you want? And then there was like a cheesy pepperoni.
Are we talking about Cyberpunk the game?
Pineapple. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. It's just, it shows up there and you can eat it.
Is there a pineapple pizza?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there was ham or pineapple or whatever.
That's the perfect.
But then it got worse. I had high enough cool, or in this case, wanker, to ask for artichoke and aardvark. No, not aardvark.
Aardvark pizza, man, please.
Avocado.
Aardvark.
Artichoke and
oh my god.
Or maybe it was aardvark. Who knows?
Avocado
it's weird shit.
No.
So naturally, I went for the correct answer, which is like double cheese and pepperoni.
Yeah, pepperoni, man. You want to get some meat on there.
One.
Some meat. Anyway, so yeah, I think we've put that to rest. And if you disagree with us, I mean that's on you. You're completely wrong, and you're entitled to be wrong. That's your opinion, but you're completely wrong. Let's move on to the next question. Tommy T 333. Question for Gaz. Fantasy football related. So we just have over 1/4 of the way in to the season. Yeah, you take a back seat for this one, Henry.
Yeah, I'm cool.
And you're currently 3rd in the league out of 9 on the Pretty Good Game in Fantasy Football League. Where do you think you'll finish at the end of the season? Well, I would have said I'm closing in on the leader. It was over 100 points out ahead, and now it was down to 79 by the start of this game week. But I've had such a bad week. I forgot to change my captain, and that's gonna really screw me over. And you cannot afford to make those oversights. So I think I've probably dropped maybe 9 or 10 points because of that. How it's going to shake out. But if it wasn't for this week, I would have been really confident. But this week, it's just been so bad. Everyone's just not playing well. So I don't know. I've had a 3rd and a 2nd in the last 2 years. So I'd be happy. I mean, I'm not going to be happy unless I get first. I'll be honest. I'm not going to be happy unless I get first. That's what I'm going for. I'm a competitor at heart. I always want to win. So I don't know where I'll finish. Probably 3rd, but I'm aiming for the first top spot. I'm gonna get in the Champions League no matter what. And then we have another question for Henry from Tommy C 333. Not sure if this might be discussed a bit more in regards to learning mouse and keyboard. Have you found it difficult to adjust to aiming and moving? I can't aim with a mouse. And then smiley emoji.
I wouldn't say difficult. The mouse, like I love. Like aiming with a mouse, it takes a minute because it's so like fast and it's responsive. It's kind of responding to stuff when I don't necessarily intend it to because it's so sensitive. But I love it. I think that's just so much more precise. Once you kind of get over that hurdle of wow, why is it moving so much? Movement, as I said, I think there should be a way to make it smoother on keyboards and somehow getting a stick. Or like a format. I've got a Tartarus down here, which Metal Shell kindly put in with my care package of PC wonderful goodness, which does have it's like a hand. It's shaped like that basically, and you can control it with your thumb. And then there's like 3 rows of keys here. You can bind them to anything. But annoyingly, in Cyberpunk at the moment, you can't switch WASD to the arrows, and on the Tartarus, the move stick is defaulted to the arrows. Yeah. So I'm sticking with WASD at the moment, and like it's fine. But as I said, I want to be able to do it in increments. I want to be able to analog my speed and move slowly or full speed.
Yeah, that's something that you will miss. moving from controller to keyboard, that's for sure.
And I don't see why anyone's not done it yet. So maybe it is just really difficult to get a PC peripheral which can have all the advantages of a keyboard and a thumbstick to control movement. Perhaps it's really difficult and no one's quite cracked it, but that's the dream. Although one thing about mouse, I love the freedom of movement, but there is something more satisfying about pulling a trigger rather than clicking. But that's just a bit of haptics. So again, if someone can create a mouse trigger, so you basically hold it like that and you could just slide it around like normal and pull the trigger, maybe that could be cool. Maybe it exists. I don't know.
Maybe it does exist. Maybe it does. There's all sorts of peripherals available, I'm sure. But thanks for the questions, Tommy T333.
Okay, so we have the final question now, I believe, from Durlock, brackets Sergio. After Cyber Fiasco 2077, can you name 3 publishers you still hold in high regard? Probably fucking not. Next question.
Yeah, it's difficult with publishers. I think, having reflected on this, as seen this earlier, I think with publishers, their primary goal is to make money. They're not interested in games. They're not interested in developers. Their primary goal is to make money. And that always comes at the expense of the consumers. Whereas I can name a few developers, which I still hold in high regard, but they're always under the umbrella of a publisher more often than not. So you've got to look to like the independent publishers. I guess Devolve Digital's a good example.
That was one I was going to say.
Nintendo are kind of all right as a publisher. I mean, I don't really connect with the games, but I think Nintendo...
Nah, they're pulling so much bullshit. Publishing the games, generally, their games are working and totally fine. But the way as a company they behave, they've no respect for the competitive community. Recently, they completely trashed the game, Squids, Splatoon competitive tournament. They DMCA'd it, basically, or something like that. I can't really remember. Recently, then, before that, they completely fucked up a Smash Melee tournament, because the Melee community is the most focused of the Smash things. But you can't play it on PC without emulating it, even though all of these people still will have bought the game. They're Smash enthusiasts and will have their own controllers and still contributing to Nintendo, but they shut it down because they don't like using emulators. They just don't give a fuck about that part of their scene. Their games run normally very well, like when they come out.
If that's the case, fuck Nintendo. So I mean, I guess Devolver is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. And the independent business like Team 17 or I can't think of the top of my head anymore. There's No More Robots is a decent publisher. I mean, I've never seen any shit from these independent developers because they're not out to necessarily grab all your money. They're out to promote, decent games and inventive independent games. So
they can't afford to be money grabbing. It's too much of a risk. These big companies can get away with it. So we lose the game. So what? We've got a million more.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
again out of the big one. I totally agree. Excuse me. Indie are probably the best ones, especially someone like Devolver, because they are the biggest of the indie publishers. I would say. I don't have it in front of me, but the only AAA one I would probably put in there, maybe rather scratch that. Not probably, maybe would be someone like Sony, because most of their games when they launch well. They launch clean and stable. Not always. Days Gone had very, very big launch problems, but Sony also do a load of other bullshit. But if you take it, the 2 most controversial games of this year, Last of Us 2, Cyberpunk 2077. Last of Us 2 launched in a better state. Arguably worse game, arguably better game, doesn't matter. Performance-wise, it performs much better. Fundamentally, they're wildly different games. Last of Us 2, very, very linear. Cyberpunk, expansive RPG, different in that regard, but in the raw facts, Last of Us launched in a better state than Cyberpunk did.
That's true.
So
there you go. I mean, there's a case. I mean, it's all horses for courses at the end of the day. So there you go. Thanks for the question, Durlock or Sergio. And thanks everybody else for all your questions. If you want to leave a question for next week's podcast, leave it in the podcast questions and topics section of the Discord, and we will get around to it in the next podcast. Whether it's next week or the week after that because of Christmas break, we don't know yet. So let's move on to the next segment, which is my favorite. This is the Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week. So are we doing a dumb... I don't know whether this is the Triggered Fanboy or the
it's
dumb
just
dish.
weird.
We've got
Looking
one of
at it
each.
in front of me now, it's just real odd.
Yeah. So this is not quite a triggered fanboy. This is just a triggered comment of the week, right? So this is from Shiga Maruta. And he was, I don't know.
What video was it on?
I think it was the podcast.
Okay.
Podcast, because it's talking about both of us, right? So he comments, unsubscribe. If you want an example of how watching TV makes people dumb, look at these two clowns. Politicians, with an apostrophe S, politicians, corporations and celebrities virtue signal for profit. They cheat, lie and censor, and you people believe it. SMH.
What did we talk about last time?
You know what? I think this is one of those comments. It sounds like a spam comment that just gets spammed.
Yeah, there's one guy at the moment who spams a lot.
It just spam no matter what, and because it feels so disjointed with our content. That
we overtly
almost...
So what is he? I think in a roundabout way, he's sort of trying to say we're like corporate sort of sellouts, pro censorship type things. I think based on this, enigma that he's put forward. But the thing is, in that podcast, we started off. This is the only way I can think of he's answered it. He's answered it before actually watching the full video. We started off positive. We made a point to this is what we like. We like the world, story, blah 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 blah, all the good things. Then went into the bad things, including how they withheld console gameplay from reviews. Yeah. So we are against that kind. I'm not necessarily sure I would call it censorship. I mean, there's the semantics games we play there, but they withheld information, basically.
I mean, the first thing for me is the whole first sentence is a complete and utter hypocrisy. If you want an example of how watching TV makes people dumb, firstly, this isn't fucking TV, dude. This is the internet. Like, how dumb do you look thinking that this is the fucking
makes
TV?
You more dumb.
You fucking hypocrite. What the? I mean, that just blows.
Did we talk about TV that time? Like sometimes we touch on
assumption
Star
is
Wars,
he thinks we're
Mandalorian.
TV. My assumption is he thinks what he's watching
maybe.
is TV, right?
Oh, so maybe unsubscribe. If you want an example of how watching TV makes people dumb,
look at these two clowns.
This is it. So don't be like me and watch this because they're dumb and that'll make you dumb. I mean, maybe
he's not. Anyway,
I just don't know. Where he's going with this one.
This comment is disjointed with reality. There's just a different version of what he thinks we are and who we are that he's responding to, and he doesn't make a good point. Doesn't make a good case of formulating his opinions on why. Like we cheat and lie and censor people. And people believe it. Like, we're virtue signaling for profit, are we? I don't get...
What virtues did we signal in the last one? That Cyberpunk is a unfinished game. I mean, if that's a virtue signal, that phrase has lost even more meaning than it already fucking had. Anyway. Doesn't mean anything.
So, short of dissecting this any further, which is probably not worth it, because this guy's long gone anyway, and we can't bring that out anymore.
I mean, when commas and full stops and apostrophes are in all the wrong places,
he's all over the place,
he can never win.
So this next comment is more of a fanboy, but less triggered. So this kind of fits in the same. And this is from a regular commenter, and it's not really that triggered, but he's kind of a fanboy all the same. And it brings up some good talking points anyway. So Frank Marcus, we're talking about a game. About the video where you said Cyberpunk is in trouble, and his reaction, probably having not watched the video, was, "It's not in trouble." Is it having problems for some? Yes. But it also happens to be one of the greatest games I've ever played. And I've been playing games since before many of you reading this were born. Oh, and it also happens to be the most gorgeous. This is just more piling on clickbait nonsense. I like this channel, so it's a shame, really.
There is nothing clickbait about... All right, so the thumbnail was Cyberpunk 2077 is in trouble. And then the title was... Hold on, I've got it in front of me. Where are we? Cyberpunk 2077 bugs cause 7.8 stock drop as CDPR apologizes and offers refunds. I thought that was quite a good title because it's got 3 facts all there, right? And it fit within my character limit, which is always a problem. There's nothing clickbait about it. The game is in trouble because of all the problems they're having, and all of even if the problems aren't real, which they are, even if they weren't, and people were just responding like that, and this groundswell of people saying this is bad. That's trouble.
Yeah.
They're in trouble. The fact they had to hold a meeting with their investors to explain or answer questions and be like, All right, we know there's problems. We're on top of it. That's kind of what they tried to do anyway. That's trouble. If they were in good shape, they wouldn't need to do that.
I think this is a case of denial, right? I think Frank likes the game, and more power to you, dude, because you're enjoying the game.
Like it.
But you can't sidestep all the controversy and things that are happening to CDPR just because you like the game and you want them to see them succeed. It's not clickbait. Just because you don't like it.
You don't like it.
You know what I mean? It's based on facts, and it's based on something that's happened. And everything in the video, as always, is well reasoned and well thought out and well balanced as well. You've looked at the chance, so it's a shame. It's a shame. Well, what is a shame is that you can't see the wood for the trees for this because you like the game, and the fact that we hold principles and values and we hold publishers to a higher standard, and we put that above our like of the game. That's what's really a shame here. That you can't see that's what we're doing, and we've always done that as a channel. is that we've always, it's really important that gamers get what they're paid for. They're not lied to and they're not deceived around the purchase of a game, and that is more important than any game that I will play and like. Okay, it could be the best game in the world ever, and I could absolutely love it. But if the company have done that to people, I'm still going to dislike them. I'm still going to call them out, because that's the values that those are the values that we hold on this channel, and that's just the way we've always operated. So that's what's a shame here, is that you've let your love for this game cloud your rationale. And obviously you're a more mature person, so you're not just a triggered young guy on the internet. I just want you to understand that we're not doing this for clicks. We're not doing this for clickbait and nonsense.
If we were, it didn't work.
We're doing this because we've always done. We've always stood up for the gamers who, even if we don't experience the bugs and all the nonsense ourselves, in this case we have, but we've always stuck up for the people who get shat on by these big corporations, and we stick up for them people. That's we always have done that. It's a shame that you think that we're not doing that. It's a shame that you've attributed false motives to us, because that's not what we're doing. You've completely misread us there.
And on the topic of it being in trouble, I've just googled their CD Projekt's like stock thing in front of me, and I'm looking at it from the 6 months view, so I can see it quite a lot. Peaked in August, which I already knew. The highest stock value ever, doing really, really well. It kind of goes up and down like anything, but it also has harder downs because of all the delays and shit. Goes real high on the 4th, like kind of the second highest, I don't know if it's ever been, but almost as high as the peak in August. But then it comes cascading down over launch, which some commenters were saying, yeah, that's because people are selling because the game's out. But I mean, I'm no financial analyst or anything, but I would have expected stock price to go up, because the game is more valuable. You're making more money, so your stock price is more because the company's worth more. Like that. Sure. I mean, again, I might be totally wrong in that, but even then, if that's not the case, the stock price is still low. Like, it's not the lowest ever, but it's the lowest for a while. That's for sure. Like, it is. So
it's bad, yeah.
It's like this. It's like this. Then just before launch goes up, and it comes lower than it was before, and that's not good. That's not right. Like, if we pull out to a year,
as a company,
it's still not,
wiping any percentage off your value as a company is trouble. Yeah. They're going to be.
It's lower than it was this time last year.
I mean, why do you think they came out with the damage control, emergency meeting that they did? Because people are asking questions. They're in trouble. That's why they came up. If they weren't in trouble, they wouldn't have had that meeting. But there you go. I think we've established they're in trouble.
They are.
So with that, I want to move on to the best comment of this week, and a couple of decent comments who appreciate where we are and where we're coming from. So first up, Israel Piri comments just in general about our Cyberpunk coverage over the last week, and more specifically, I think it was on one of your daily videos. I respect you for this. You were a huge fan.
I picked out that one.
This shows your integrity. So, just highlighting that, people appreciate the fact that we're not clouded by just our love for the game. We've got integrity, we've got values, and we appreciate things. We hold these companies to the standards regardless of who they are, how we feel about them. Yeah. It's more about doing what's right rather than how we feel about the.
And without totally trashing everything about it. Like, yeah, performance is pretty dog shit on a lot of console systems. Mine's pretty solid, but there's still so many bugs, and I still really like the story, still really like the characters and all that. So there's good. The good with the bad.
On the same note, the NHAOX NAHAO now Noah X Light comments very mature POV here. So appreciating your take. I like how this news did harshly criticise the practice and the circumstance of Cyberpunk without just falling into the loophole of just complaining and basically instigating people to get their pitchforks out. The end part where the relations of a studio and the size of CDBR and the AAA game production market really put the complexity and difficulty of the situation on the table, even if in a fairly shallow manner for the sake of simplicity. This is the kind of content and message I look for. So it appreciates, that well, obviously it was you going through the, giving you the background of the situation. This is CDPR, then the company, they're in a difficult position. So it's all the nuances to do with this situation, and not just this is not good enough. Let's kill Cyberpunk. Let's go to Twitter and start hating on these people. Or it's not just blind love for the game and ignoring all the facts. It's a difficult situation, and you traverse the complexities of it and nuances of it with rationale and well, it being well thought through, and it's appreciated here, and I think that's a good comment.
Well, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I really feel like I don't watch...
Can we clip that too? I don't mean to toot my own horn.
I don't mean to, but it's exactly what I'm going to do. So I don't really watch any gaming creators because I don't need to, because I'm already doing it myself. Like, I don't... Like, sometimes I'll watch, like, a Yong video or a layman video or, a Jim Sterling, something, other people. I very rarely do, though, because I don't need to. But the amount of times anytime I do, I'm like, have you read what you're talking about? Because I have, and you've not mentioned this or this or this. And sometimes I'm like, well, I can't really blame you for it because you're trying to focus on this one aspect. But then there's so much context that you just don't listen to. And I think part of it is a flaw in the format of a lot of creators who just do face-to-face talking type videos. Kind of like this podcast is just talking. There's very, very few notes. Whereas my triples are written, and it's part of the reason it takes quite a long time to put them together. It's involved reading everything, engaging with it and digesting it, and then writing it in such a way that it makes sense. And that kind of structure, I think, helps convey this kind of information. I did the investor call this week, which was fucking hard to put together. That took ages. 40-odd minute thing to listen to, with I think about 13 questions to then go through, and their answers. And sometimes because it's a call, there's crossovers, and they didn't quite answer that question, so could you repeat it, and that sort of stuff to cut out the bullshit, basically. I nailed that into 7 minutes. It made the longest daily triple ever. It was over 10 minutes. Never happens. The first time ever. I think I did a fucking good job, and I'm still not happy with it, because I'm still like, I wanted to go into more detail there. Yeah. Well, this isn't quite clear enough. But I think so many outlets, not just YouTubers either, like outlets, took like 4 or 5 points out of that thing and put them into 4 or 5 articles. I took the whole thing, put it into 7 fucking minutes. I think that's pretty damn impressive, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, well done, Henry.
Like,
well
I could have spun it out, done. I don't like his content, but like the quartering style, where he just sits and reads, and then does another video of sits and reads. It's very effective for quick content. I don't think it's good content. I don't think it's a good way to engage with anything personally, and that's apart from his political opinions.
I'll just say this now. I don't mind it. I think that kind of content is really good. The way that people go, the reason people go and see his content because they want to see his take on it, and I think that's what he's bringing to it, rather than the critique of the situation. Yeah. It's like they want to see what he feels about it because they value his opinion. So I don't mind that kind of that's.
I don't, because I don't want to see what his opinion is. I want information, then his opinion. If that I feel like a lot of it is just reading what someone else has written, and there's nothing added. Personally, I mean, like what you like, I don't give a shit. But so yeah, I think I did a pretty fucking good job on that investors thing, where so many other things would have spun it out for like video after video after video, or a whole 40-minute video, as long as the fucking thing itself, talking about each point. I think a damn good job, and I want some credit, and I'm taking it when I can.
Well done, Henry.
Thank you from what's your name? Noah's Light.
Noah's Light.
Thank you.
Thanks. You got any questions? So I've read 4 already. Have you got any?
Okay, so I've got one here from, I think it's last week's podcast, where we talked about Cyberpunk a lot, and then also talked about the Game Awards, because The Last of Us cleaned up quite a lot. Some deserved, in my opinion. Some not so deserved. This person comes in. I think it's so paradoxical. Nubist85. I'm not here to hate on The Last of Us 2.
But
I will take every opportunity it comes up to mention how much I didn't like it. Definitely not mad about it, though. That's got to be, like, self-aware. Surely it's got to be self-aware, not just, no offense, but I'm going to say something really fucking offensive, you know? But I quite enjoyed that one because it was... The Last of Us 2 thing was such a minor part of the podcast, and every time it comes up, there's always comments being like, I didn't really like it, or the flip side, or I really, really liked it, everyone's just a hater. Like, I mean, like what you like, man, but do you got to make it your whole thing, your whole deal? But I do have a couple of other comments.
I've got a funny one, right? So Arthur Kimes comments, and this was on another Cyberpunk one, and he quotes you from the video. In 6 to 12 months, it will be incredible. But how many people will still be around then? And his comment goes, "Wow, really pessimistic about COVID."
I mean, they've got to get the game fixed fast because people are going to die. They're going to die unless you fix it. Yeah, no, I picked that one as well. I thought that was quite funny.
He's turned it around and made it into a joke. That was funny. I like that.
And he quoted me and actually quoted me correctly. The amount of people who just like make quotes up and just say what you actually didn't say. I'm like, didn't fucking say that, but okay. Yeah. That's the shit that really bugs me. So if you want to, pro tip, if you want to get me pissed off, dear viewers, just say stuff I didn't say. Then I'll get annoyed. Yeah. That's it.
This is Trigger.
Okay, so Trigger Henry 101. This one again, regular commenter, Cape Fury. So for myself, I think V is in a coma and all the bugs in his head playing mind tricks on him. I have honestly thought the exact same thing because he's got like weird shit going on with the chip. I'm like, is it a bug or is it just V seeing things? Who knows? So I've kind of been rationalizing it the same sort of way. Yeah. But then every now and then I'm like, oh come on now. If it's got the Cyberpunk like blue flicker, I'm like, okay, that's deliberate.
Yeah.
I had another one here. Oh, this one I enjoy because this is exactly the reaction I wanted by doing it. It's from Soul Echelon, timestamp. Dude just rips off his toenail. I felt that. I'm not happy about it. Why would you use that clip? Holy hell! And then a few people
every
were like,
time though, you get comments every time you use that, and that's the Death Stranding
why I do it, because it's about Death Stranding, and that was Kojima Productions teasing an announcement or something. Totally wasn't anything. It was them being like, here's some wallpapers, here's some merch. And it was real
want to sell.
I even acknowledged that in the video. I was like, Kojima fucking trolls people all the time. He doesn't give a shit. It's probably bullshit. But it could be like a Metal Gear or a Death Stranding 2 or Silent Hill, something cool. Nope. Here's some stuff that no one gave a shit about. And all the comments were like, on the Twitter thread, just like, what, seriously? That's all you've got?
That's all it is.
But yeah, I will always put the toenail clip in about Death Stranding if it comes up anytime, and I will continue. Normally it's Cloney who gets a little bit triggered by it because he hates it.
Yeah,
but Soul Echelon is now my newest victim.
My final comment here is from one of the Patreon community. Marcus Hicks comments on one of our videos, and I like to disagree with you respectfully here, Marcus Hicks, because I don't quite agree with you on this. But you know, we're all adults here, and we can disagree and still be friends. And he comments, to be honest, I am bored with all the negativity now surrounding Cyberpunk. I have over 13 hours in the game all on ultra settings, and the game is running beautifully. Even though I am stuck in Watson, I have yet to run out of fun things to do in that time. The AI opponents are mostly reasonably competent on normal difficulty, but could use additional improvements. My point being, I am loving the game and certainly hope that everyone gets to have that same experience soon. But I am done with the constant negativity. Some of us actually recall the state of Witcher 3 launched in, and I certainly recall how bad the PC ports for RDR2 and Horizon Zero Dawn were initially. And I guess the ultimate thing for you is just don't watch the content if you don't align with it. But I get a lot of this sentiment, and we've talked about it before, where people, because they like the game, they just want to close their eyes and ears to all the issues that everybody else is having, and that's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you can't undermine the problems that people are having. And this is the point I want to make: is that these problems are still valid. Just because you've got a PC and you're having a great time with it, I've got a PC and I've got a decent PC and I'm on ultra settings. You can't undervalue the problems that I'm having with that game, and we can't overlook the problems and the issues and the lies and deception that CDPR used around the launch and reviews of the game. I think all of that has to stand, and I think especially since it's in the news and it generating content on that, people want to hear it, everyone's talking about it, we have to generate the content.
It's been a pain in the arse. I didn't want to cover it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. I think it's important because even if you haven't experienced it yourself, you can't undermine it. You cannot undermine it because this gives them a free pass. We have to shout this from the rooftops. This isn't right. This is where we come from on this channel. I've said it before, and I've said it a few times now. But we've got to stick to the principles, no matter how we feel. We have to put our feelings to one side and stick to what makes us who we are, which is our principles, our values, and the standards that we set for ourselves and other people.
Yeah.
The honesty, truth. We've got to live and abide by those. And if we don't, then people just get away with taking advantage of you. So I understand how you're bored of it because you want to overlook that and just experience the game. You do that by all means, but don't undermine the fight that we're fighting a fight, and we always have been.
Yeah.
Don't undermine that.
And to Marcus Hicks again, you're not like triggered fanboy or anything, because this is healthy dialogue.
Respectful. That's the word. Exchange. Right?
And chances are, Cyberpunk stuff's probably going to be in the news for a bit. Probably a bit more negative. Generally, the negative comes in waves before the positive starts coming. And we're probably going to end up covering it because it's hot news and it's what we're interested in. But if you don't want to see it and you do want to keep watching the content, there's timestamps every single time in the description and in the bar. Like there's a little notch for each section. So if you want to keep watching, which I'm sure you do, you're loyal supporter and stuff, just skip over it.
I just don't like the dismissive. Like it's just dismissing it. It's like, oh, why are we talking about this again? It's like because we've always done this with every publisher. Everything that's gone wrong, we've always done this. Like, so why should this be any different? Just because we like CDPR, you like CDPR, you like the game, it's no different. So you love us for that, hopefully. That's the reason why you're watching, hopefully. So you got to take the rough with the smooth. If you don't like it, then that's what we're about. That's.
And I think a few people are saying, oh, you shouldn't compare them to Bethesda or EA because they've burnt us loads of times and CDPR have only burnt us once. But that's kind of why it's worse. Like if someone you don't
trusted them, they were the chosen ones.
Yeah, if someone you don't like says, "Oh, that's shit," you're like, "Oh, whatever." But if someone close to you is like, "No, that's shit," you're like, worse.
Which is why it's even more important that we speak out.
And I have every confidence that they will eventually get it right. They've got a big patch in January, big patch in February. So buy the game in March, and it should,
they've also,
fingers crossed, be totally awesome.
They've also got to win back the trust. And I always say trust is like a house of cards, right? Because deceiving and misleading people, and they've addressed it now in the apology. But again, it's a copy and people can copy and paste these types of apologies, and it doesn't feel genuine because everyone else has done it before them. And it's like, all right, there might be.
And made the same mistake again.
They might be sincere with it. They might be, but it just comparing it like all the other publishers done in the past. But they do have to win back that trust, and that's the main thing that they've lost here because there's an economy in that. There's a value to people's goodwill, and they've lost a lot of goodwill. You read the comments in our videos and anywhere. There's so many people who are very disappointed. Not just the state of the game. It's not about the state of the game. It's about how they went about
handled
deceiving and deceiving people about the state of the game by not allowing review copies and saying a week beforehand in an investor call or something that it plays surprisingly
good.
Well on last gen. It's like that's lying, that's lies, that's deception. It's not what we expect from. That's the hardest part. If it was EA, it wouldn't care. Like there would be no emotional capacity. Reaction there because it's just EA. We don't care about EA. We cared about CD Projekt Red, and that's what makes it even more disheartening.
Let us down. Yeah, and the thing is, they can earn it back. They can earn trust back.
It's a house of cards, right? House of cards. Once it's gone, it takes a long time.
Hello Games managed to do it. They now have so much support, like community focused, who really care about everything they do. It took them a little while. It took them a long time because they shut up and got on with it. And someone commented that as well. I can't remember. I don't think I have it in front of me. They were like, right, game's out now. Needs to do a No Man's Sky. Just shut up and get on with it. Yeah. Which I'm sure they're going to do henceforth. But anyway, we will see in March if the game is any good.
There you go.
when it comes out of beta.
Right, that is my last comment. Do you have any more?
No, I've not got any more.
Oh, thank you everybody for your comments on the videos. We really appreciate everyone who does engage with our videos. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, as well as liking and stuff like that.
Positive and negative. We've been doing a few more positive ones recently, which I think is good. We should always try and do a positive one, but sometimes they're not as good, they're not as funny, or it's just like dick sucking. I don't want
Even
that.
if you've got something not quite so positive to say about us, I mean, we're grown men, we're grown ass men. We can handle criticism. For God's sake, we can handle it. Say what you want. I mean, whatever. We'll tell you.
I've had many comments about my stupid haircut, and I love it.
Okay.
I'm wearing a hat today because of it, because I'm so ashamed.
All right, let's move on to the final segment, which is the bad dad joke of the week. This is your favourite segment, right, Henry?
Let's do it. Well, as long as there's a good dad joke. The tin was the highest quality, and then it went down, and now the Discord is very hit and miss.
Okay. Shall I try one from the tin? Fuck it.
Yeah, go on.
Do the tin.
We haven't done the tin for a while.
you always roll your eyes at the ones on the Discord now, so sack it. I'm going to the tin. Going to the tin, damn it.
I think the Discord ones are by popular demand, and maybe I'm not on the same wavelength as people of what's funny.
Okay.
I think the tin ones are more puns as well. And I'm a sucker for a pun.
Right, Henry, let's do this. Want to hear a joke about construction?
I would like to hear a joke about construction.
Tough. I'm still working on it.
See?
That's classic. Classic.
That's it.
Okay, I'll read another one. I've always had an irrational fear of speed bumps, but don't worry, I'm slowly getting over it. Kind of in the same vein. Classics.
Yeah, same sort of vibe.
We'll go for the trifecta. 3 for 3. I gave all my used batteries away today, free of charge.
Yeah, it's good.
Triple.
Good stuff.
It's a triple. There you go, Henry. At least we got a smile.
That's what the money buys.
At least we got a smile from Henry.
Premium dad jokes.
Hopefully I'll get another sim for Christmas. With that being said, thanks for watching the podcast. And if you are this way into the podcast and you're not already a Patreon supporter, please consider it, because it really makes a difference. You obviously enjoy the content. You know, we need help producing it. So head over to Patreon, patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, and we will be eternally grateful. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again in the next podcast, whenever that may be. We're not sure about that just yet, but on behalf of Henry and myself, we will see you then. Until then, bye for now.